September 16th, 6:03 p.m. This is the monthly public meeting of the Hardwick Electric Department. Commissioners are present are Roger and Reno, Michael Ambrosino by Zoom. We have Sarah Braze, our General Manager, and someone from the public, Stu Arnold, is in attendance. So given that, we'll go right to looking at the agenda. Is there any modifications or approval anybody wants to make to the agenda?
The only thing I would like to try and do is add a separate update on the Wolcott Hydro Station as an executive session.
Great.
Okay.
If I want to speak?
Yeah, for public
Yeah.
comment. Yep,
Okay.
after we do minutes and then it'll be public comment.
All right, nothing else. We have approval of the prior minutes.
So we have the August 19th,
For these.
August 19th, August 29th, and also the September 8th. So 2 special meetings and the last regular meeting.
Ah,
I move to approve the minutes of each of these meetings, Tuesday, August 19th, and Friday, August 29th.
And then Monday, September 8th.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay, we can do a third motion,
Where
a
did
second
I-
motion if you need it.
Oh, yeah, it's on the back. I printed it on the back side. And Monday, September 8th.
Thank you.
all right. Second,
I cannot
Reno,
second that because I was not here for the August 19th.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
And one, I guess, abstention for the August 19th meeting, right? And maybe we'll re-vote on that one because there's not a quorum for it. Okay. So the August 19th meeting minutes will still be draft until we have an additional commissioner here because we have one abstention because Reno was not here. Okay.
All right, and Stu Arnold, I can't see you, but I hear you there. And then you have something to tell
You
us.
sit on that side,
Yeah.
you might be able to see it.
Yeah, I'll just jump in next. Wait as I go by.
There you go.
Hi, so yes, Stu Arnold from Greensboro Association, Lake Protection. We've had an active role with Hardwick. We call it the three-legged stool. We have the eyes and ears on the lake. You guys manage the dam, DEC sets the lake level. And so I last spoke July a year ago, 24th. We talked about with Scott Johnstone about disposition of dams. There was going to be some active action sometime along. Roger and I spoke outside. I'd be interested to know what's gone on in the past few months, if any, and then where we can play as stakeholder as to decisions made to the future.
Great.
The only update I will share is that Stu and I have been in pretty regular communication. When he had reached out about the low lake levels last month, he and I spoke, and he kept me apprised of whatever discussions were being had at or with Ben Green, and we just last Thursday had a meeting with Ben Green regarding all of our dams. Mostly this came up because of our last inspection, and we discussed various options and ways to improve the dams, conditions or ratings if even possible, and hazard ratings. And so that's really the last that we've had the conversation and have not made any decisions or kind of strategy as far as what and how to proceed, but knowing and acknowledging all of our local stakeholder parties and associations, really.
Okay, and you,
I have a question for you, and you might have thought this through already, Sarah, so you can help. As an entity, you could be the entity that drives things because you have that very narrow focused interest on the lake. If there were a path forward for Hardwick Electric and the town of Hardwick to convey the dam to you, are you the right entity to receive it and own it, or would it more likely be the town of Greensboro?
the latter is
Yeah.
the more likely approach. And the town is possibly going to see some requests to form a task force
Okay.
because of the low level. There's a body of people that may approach the select board and say, hey, we need to be participate in that. I'm a resident of Greensboro as well, and I will participate as a Greensboro resident on that committee if there's such one established. So I wanted to let you guys know what some of these things are going on,
Right.
and very open, transparent, that we want to help this dam more than likely get repaired and be utilizing for the benefit of the shore, the lakeshore owners, specifically the benefit that economic engine produces in taxes and all that for the town of Greensboro, instead of, and hope that we would bypass any thoughts of removal, any thoughts, and then if there was a conveyance of some sort, yes, it wouldn't come to the GA. It would have to, for legal purposes and liability support. The Greensboro Association wouldn't want to own it. The town of Greensboro hopefully would take on a position of ownership if that's a conveyance.
I think as far as, the PUC rules and guidance on assets and divesting assets, I think it would probably be an easier discussion to be had with the municipal, a transition to the municipal than to a separate entity.
That's-
yeah.
Feels like it.
And I
Yeah.
do believe, I don't believe the agenda has been quite released yet, but this is a potential topic of discussion for the joint Select Board and Board of Commissioners meeting, which is occurring next week. Is whether and how and who and that sort of thing for a joint task force sort of work as far as Hardwick and that ownership and liability, really.
When you say joint, is joint with
The Select Board and the Board of Commissioners and then stakeholders.
your Hardwick?
Since we're a
owner,
department of the
not
town of Hardwick,
It didn't, not including the town of Greensboro.
Well, I
Yes.
think who would be important to appoint to that, what should that look like,
Yeah.
and then what stakeholders are we engaging, right? Because it is a conversation that's beyond just Hardwick, it's beyond just Greensboro. There are several dams across
Oh,
many towns and municipals.
okay.
And I think what's helpful, Stu, about what you're doing is to, even though it may take a long time to navigate this, I'm sure it will, it's never too early for you on your end with the town of Greensboro to confirm interest, to try to go into it and have unity.
Yeah.
As you know
Yeah,
better than I do, the recent year, we kind of, things got going, and then there was disunity in Greensboro.
in the
So
town,
this-
in the
yeah,
town hall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and so there's transparency is key.
Yeah.
That's why we wouldn't want something done and all of a sudden have the select board pitch it on the town without
Right.
the town notice. So I think this is a goal that we want to put it forward to the town and say, this is up and coming, we're going to explore it, we're going to be advocating for the best for Greensboro, and what we will end up pitching is a solution that could be very successful to all parties.
Great.
And have anyone and everyone participate in multiple conversations.
Great.
So in the meantime, we have the lake level that we're working with, and I met with Jenny Austin, Lakes and Ponds Manager. She took over from Oliver Pearson after a gap in time. Oliver had been working on a lake level management potentiality. She said she would look into that in some soon in time, but not, probably more like a winter thing. And that might give the GA a playing role with maybe managing lake level if it ever can, if it comes to that. Because again, but future ownership would be, again, the town. And we understand that through liability and what we hear from the state, they don't want private ownership, which they would consider us to be that. They want municipality ownership. and you are already, so transfer from one municipality to other seems doable. So,
Did they give any indication why that was their preference? As far as, because I'm assuming when you say the state indicated that, that was more so from the lake and water level management
well,
and
I mean,
emergency planning.
that happened at the Callis pond that they did. They're the dam that's been the successful approach that happened there. There were all these finger pointings of who owned it, who didn't, whatever. And the win was to everyone's, was this town purchased it and got deed sign off on anyone who had a vested interest. So having the town own it was a success to make it happen and get the state to support the ultimate dam that was, and then that was a repair and structure, and it seems to have carried a successful model. There was resistance by the town to pick up a bond to do this and all that, but when they were presented tax options of doing it or not doing it, future tax options, it was cheaper to sign on to a bond to repair it and have the benefit of the pond stay. We would have that's probably the same level of support to have the lake stay in its in its future.
Stu, how long ago did that happen?
What's that?
Callis?
That's
When did
recent.
that happen?
That's recent.
Recently?
Yeah.
I know there's been some, there was or is a privately owned dam also in Callis that's, I think, getting removed through a joint, like Friends of the Winooski nonprofit,
Maybe.
the Fish and Wildlife, I think. But I think it's a separate.
I think it is,
must
too.
be a separate project.
And then
the one right across from the East Callis store. But it's not really a pond. It's more of a marsh
Okay.
going into it. So anyway, a lot of ponds in Callis.
And those are just, water holding reservoirs, so it's not in a generating dam?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So, and, yeah, so I think that some of this may have been conveyed from what Scott had said also, Johnstone, about there's been some changes in liability. So the liability that a municipality has is, there's, I don't know if these are the right words, there's some immunity in, and I don't know what Hardwick pays for that protection. I'd be interested if you have that data.
It's not a figure I have off the top of my head, but I can absolutely look into it. And I
Yeah.
think it's generally a combined, like, municipal liability, but I could confirm. I
Right.
don't have the figures off the top of my head.
Yeah. I think when the private owns it, the price ratchets up way up. So that's a different, so, yeah, so I just wanted to let you guys know. We have a group, two groups going right now. We have my lake protection team that will probably have a lake level and dam review team formulated. And then the town, I foresee potentially happening pretty quickly, is some sort of approach to our select board to do just what you were saying, to get a task force kind of going. There's a gentleman that sits on that. He's a resident of, summer resident of, and he could be just year-round his property, so he may be here more. Chris Phillips, and he has dam and water, surface water engineering skills, and he's in New Mexico, so it's a different, different issue with the dryness out there. But he would bring some expertise, and he has even designed a few sketches that gives some people some thought. And I'd love to see how that looks like to what you have from, I know Mike Sullivan had some designs on repairs to the spillway and changes to that could be. So as those things happen, we'd love to participate in that and maybe share some guidance. He could be a potential resource to both you and us.
Excellent.
And that's Chris Phillips. He's on Black's Point.
Has anybody monitored the flow that's going out of there? How much water is actually passing under the Willie's store and down through? There might have to, that probably has to flow for state requirements.
Yeah, and I
I
don't,
can't imagine you can close the gate completely and bring the level back up.
we know that wouldn't be allowed.
No.
No, the brook needs to have
So
water in it.
if there's a minimal going, maybe it has to go.
Yeah, so we have the data of what the lake level's been set at over the last 8 years, and what it's done to the lake level averages. So the weir setting was 2 inches when we first looked at this 8 years ago. Opening, that was a set minimum that if ever it wasn't going over the spillway itself, you had to give it at least 2 inches to the brook. That's a sort of a state mandate. And that was actually where the weir was set. We found that weir setting was too small an opening. We were having too many high water events.
I remember that, yeah.
And so in 2000, we were discussing this with Lakes and Ponds, and Jeff Crocker from Stream Management, DEC, I said, well, if you just set it arbitrarily at 2, never really gave it any thought. We did some calculations and thought a 7-inch opening was going to be a better. And fortunately, when we got the emergency opening in 2019 due to a high water event, your team came out in 19 and opened it all the way at dam with Ben Green's approval, and that then lowered the lake away from danger. And Ben Green's very happy, I think, to dump water because of the dam's condition, but he's less inclined to to close it down right now. So 2019, when we were told to put it back to averages, for some reason that it stuck in around the 6-7 inch level, whether there was something in the way, and to kind of gave us that 7-inch level, and we were happy with that until 2013 when we had that unnamed storm that flooded everybody, and Mike Sullivan went up there in the middle of the night and opened it again on Ben's word. And again, we had the approval to bring it back to where it was, and you guys came up and put it back to 7 until 2024 came along and Hurricane Beryl, and Ben also said open it right up with the conditions of knowing what's happening downstream. And the team here then opened it 1 inch, another inch, and another 2 inches right before the storm. So we only opened it 4 more inches instead of a wide open, and that's where it's set now at 11 inches. Again, we were going to bring it to averages. The averages never came through the winter until June, and after the spring runoff. And then I approached Ben to say, your team, Brian, I guess.
Brian, correct.
He said, I need to get approval from the state. I asked Ben for approval in July, late July, I guess it finally, because maybe we were a little superstitious with July 10th again.
Yeah.
So we wanted to get past that, and so then we saw the lake was coming down, so we were at average and just below average, and it was time to bring it back to the 7 mark, and he denied us on that. And Sarah and I have talked a couple times about this, and then we asked again as it dropped some more, and I don't think his approach is to allow us to open it anymore. So we have 11-inch opening now, when really the stream only needs 2. And there's a thought in my head, if we did close it down, and they have sort of his answer to me was, we're not closing anybody's weirs down. The streams all need it. I mean, Lake Champlain is low. All the rivers are low. So they don't really want to close up this, and I'd probably get denied again, I'm guessing. But we would love to just squeak it down just a little bit so that we could get back to that 7. So when we get the spring runoff, hopefully replenishing the lake, we won't be dumping more than we need then.
And the indication I got is that there may be some study that the state is trying to achieve in also seeing what happens when the waters are flowing more freely. And of course, it's occurring during a drought situation, which is not great.
Because our Hardwick Dam has been open.
Yeah. They don't have very many outflow, stream flow gauges in our area, wherever our dams and streams are flowing. It's the closest one is Johnson, and then in like the Danville Cabot area. And there are several on the state, the the Geological Society, reporting that there is no flow across the state. So I mean, I think it is, pervasive across most water bodies right now. That does not negate the issues here and trying to resolve that as well.
And our position, Sarah, has been, we're fine if Ben previously and now Jenny, if the DEC says, with all your urging, this is where it should be set, your team will act on it.
Absolutely.
So we don't really have an interest in high or low or
Right.
medium.
Yeah, and
We
they-
just want to follow the guidance of DEC.
And they may, even all, if we could get some leveling or it may all get tied back to the condition of the dam. So, it's one or the, so it kind of, they come together. So that creates an incentive for us as the town and lakeshore property owners to have a guidance in this, and see if we can obtain that. And
Great.
so our incentive would be to gain some of that, and that might happen in some kind of
Great.
disposal.
Good.
So we want to be with you. We want you to know what's going on in our town. Paul is a member of the board as well as I am, 2 years member. I've been on 9 years. And Paul's going to assist us with this. He just did some shoreline property that was, wonderful for the lake. And he's benefiting by the low level to get that rooted in. But there's other properties, fortunately less than, there are a lot less that are in dire states with it being low, other than getting boats out of the lake. So I can see why the state doesn't look at it as an emergency. It's not an emergency to try to put water back in.
Right.
It's going to happen naturally. I try to talk people off ledges that they're going to, when is it ever going to happen again?
I mean, it is alarming to see. I think we can all
Yeah.
attest to that. It is alarming to see the water level so low, considering the last few years,
Yeah.
in particular. But
So we just want, and so just keep us abreast if you get something active, there's something going on about a repair plan, and we understand the repair plan may not be a high incentive to do because of costs and things, to something you couldn't have the ratepayers be involved in. And so where's that money going to come from to do it?
And so, Stu, as we kind of go down this path and determine what steps to take, who is it? You at the Greensboro Association? What other? I mean, obviously the town select board. What other stakeholders should be notified for Caspian in particular?
Right now, just those two
Okay.
that I know of, and because I believe we will, Paul and I will act that way, and then I play both roles as a town person. I will be sitting on whatever happens on the town side. I may not, I got a lot of things going on. If there's some key player that can do this work and step in, that may happen so.
Well, it's just to make sure that folks are
Yeah.
informed of when things are going to happen and that they can be,
Right.
consulted when we have those discussions. And I think it's inevitable that they will happen. It's just a matter of when and under what forum and
Yeah.
who's engaged.
Yeah.
So.
Great.
And since we have multiple dams to consider, it might be helpful to us to know, with respect to each dam, is there a motivated group organized, ready to take action?
Yeah.
ready to, meet and come up with a plan. So I think your work with the town of Greensboro is probably helpful to set the stage.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if we have another group where they're really ready to move, we might do that one first,
Right.
because
So I
we've
will
got to
make-
learn our way through this too.
Yeah.
I'm going to meet with our select board on Wednesday, the 24th, and I'm on the agenda for our wastewater committee, and I've asked for a lake level discussion to happen there as well. So I'll bring this up to them and say, if there is some, sounds like I'm going to use your words, Roger, that if there may be some motivation to get our act together from a town's perspective on how we could best help in that regard, and have a team ready to discuss to you with some real potentialities.
I think that's very valuable and helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
for
Bruce.
coming. Thank you both.
Do you have any questions, Paul?
No, I just came to listen.
Excellent.
Thanks for
What-
coming.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And do you plan to talk about dams anymore today?
Not the overall dams, no.
Okay. So I would be happy to be at any meetings that would include those.
Okay.
And/or I'll send a representative. So,
Excellent.
yeah,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Paul, what was your last name, just right for our minutes?
Briere, Brierre.
I bet that gets misspelled a lot, but thank you.
Yes, yeah, I guess that's all. Often with just 2 R's instead of 3.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure.
And Michael, Jake has popped in.
Hi, sorry for my tardiness.
Okay. Do we want to go backwards for a minute, just to approve those minutes with Jake here, so we can get it?
Oh, great idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make a motion, we'll second it.
I move to approve the minutes of August 19th, Hardwick Electric Department Board of Commissioners regular meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
And one abstention,
Nancy,
right?
Jake, I'm gonna say yes.
Yep.
And one abstention, right?
Right.
For the 19th, the August 19th minutes?
Right, because he's.
Okay.
Where's the camera?
So this one,
I can,
trying to figure out how to best do it without,
that's fine. Oh,
without cutting somebody off. If you sit on that side. you might-
yeah, do you want me, would it be easier if I moved
Sure,
over?
yeah. Michael doesn't need to be here.
All right.
Come on over, Jake.
I see you.
It's all warmed
Yeah,
up.
right? Thank you.
All right,
This
financial
is
reports.
for you anyway.
Oh, great.
So it looks like Beth had to jump off. Before that, did we have the, look at the agenda here. Oh, so she had a request to get authorization to change the bank signatories, to remove Lynn and add Jake. And the language was in there, I don't know if you have it in front of you, but it's basically the same motion as last time, to remove and add. And once that is passed, Union Bank sends out the digital signatures and review.
I move to change the bank signature authorities for Hardwick Electric Department to remove Lynn Gedanken, who's no longer a commissioner, and replace Lynn with Jake Lester, who is a new commissioner.
Second. All in favor? Done.
Excellent, thank you. And the regular reports were in there. I don't know if anyone has specific questions. Obviously, Beth is not here to answer them.
I have one quick question, because it says the Vermont reduction in property tax valuations. So we have a reduction in tax?
I know, that doesn't seem to be the rule recently, does it?
Yeah, it's like, come to my house, please.
So Vermont utilities in general, their tax valuation formula was changed, and it significantly increased the taxes that municipal and cooperative utilities were paying, because it essentially valued our infrastructure, poles and wires, the miles and lines, as an investor-owned utility rate. And that simply was not the case. And so they kind of petitioned, the municipals did, and the utilities, and they actually adjusted that formula. So the taxes that had not been billed before they implemented that adjustment will be less. So we're seeing those adjustments for the later tax bills that have come in and going forward. But yeah, no, I agree.
Not
I'm pretty sure.
necessarily reduction, but not.
Yeah. Just a change in the formula.
Could go the other way. I had some questions about the financial report, and I'm kind of. Anybody else has any comments on that?
Nope.
All right, let's go right to utility operations manager job description.
Yes, so I have included the job description in the packet with those minor changes and additions that we talked about as far as tenure and experience, and also did some due diligence and research into the APPA, national scale as far as wages go, and it does seem that we align quite closely between our size and customers and kilowatt hour sales. Slightly on the higher end of that, which I think is good for recruitment purposes. We're not smack dab in the middle, and I think that aligns with our union wages as well. I did also talk with David Upson, the town manager. I know some of the commissioners had requested a discussion with him on how the recruitment process went for Public Works Director, and they have not hired, and they had a hard time recruiting at the wage range that they had published. So I do think that where we're looking as far as the salary range is appropriate and competitive, and I think we have an opportunity to recruit some good candidates.
Great. That's great.
Dude, the only comment I had to the position is I think originally you had 5 years experience and one is supervisory, and you thought that was short, but now I see it's 15 years of experience.
Yes, 15, and I actually meant to change that to 1 year or 5 years of supervisory experience. I think with the crew, I think it would be valuable to have someone with that, and I think it doesn't preclude the experience, different experience may be considered as well, right?
Well, we know last time we advertised, we had dishwashers applying for linesman jobs, so the description's good, but we're gonna get everything, I think.
Absolutely.
Good.
Now, do you want to advertise for all the different positions or just this one this time? This is an action item, job descriptions and job advertisement. Is it just
Yes.
for the utility operations manager? Okay.
Correct. So once we determine any transition or interim arrangements, things like that, I think then we will look at any other position that opens up if that's what occurs. And the job advertisement, I guess my perspective or request on that is, do you actually want to review it? Because essentially it's just the same information and a little spruced up to get folks' attention. But it's nothing earth-shattering or different from what we put in here. I assume that we will post it on APPA's national network, the Regional Public Utility Association job board. Internally, we could publish on a couple of VEPSA's page as well. They have a job board, and then local papers, of course,
Great.
and our website. I don't know if there are any other venues or outlets that you feel we should include.
I think staying flexible, giving Sarah flexibility is good, because as she does the recruiting or talks to people, she may realize she wants to change the wording a little. She wants to add something to just screen people better so you don't get dishwashers applying. So that's just one, my opinion would be we've got a meeting of the minds, and she's good to go on trying to recruit.
Yeah, I think we've gone over this enough times.
Yeah. Does that feel right?
I guess we have to make a motion.
One item
Do
I
you-
just want to confirm. So this salary range on the description given you was to 135, and comparatively, I think we need to include up to 145 because that's where it aligns with, or at least 140, so it aligns overall with the comps.
So what would the bottom end be?
125 is the bottom,
125 to 140?
correct.
Yeah.
And
that's
if
fine.
it exceeds, if it, negotiations exceed that, if we find a candidate, then obviously that would come to you. Or come to you anyways, but
Yeah. Great.
that was the only change. Thank you. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay. Any other comments? I think the motion is, make a motion, we approve Sarah to create a job description and advertisement for the new position of utility operations manager
I'll
at the
second,
stated salaries agreed to at the meeting.
I'll second that.
Reno, second.
Any
Thank you.
discussion? No discussion? Everybody in favor?
Aye.
None.
Great. Thank you all.
Sarah, you said you wanted an executive on the Walcott Hydro. Is that separate from this discussion, which was next?
Yes, is separate. So the generating station, the engineering analysis is well underway, and we anticipate receiving preliminary results of their study, the feasibility study. This is what Du Bois and King have been working on for the last few months. We anticipate that to be available for initial review in the next couple of weeks, and the final reports should be ready to be presented to the board in October or November. We just updated the schedule, and of course, contingencies can happen. So that is moving along. The joint stakeholder meetings that have occurred with FEMA representatives, Vermont Emergency Management, the state watershed manager, have been very helpful and very productive in determining what are the standards, what is the flood requirement standard. Is it a 500-year? Is it a 100-year? Mitigation and resilience design criteria. And so that's been really helpful to get those folks together and understand the complexities of a generating station and what's moving water versus what's controlling water, what's producing power, all of that. And I think it's been a process to navigate through that, and it feels like folks are now kind of on the same page when federal guidance has also changed throughout this period. We're all eager, and I think that FEMA and their representatives are also eager to see the projects get to obligation. So we're certainly trying to move along as fast as we can and also respect the process that this is no small project.
You said they'd have preliminary analysis within a couple of weeks in the report in November?
So they will do preliminary findings and preliminary reports to review and make sure that everything is aligning, and then the final, any adjustments that have to occur would occur over the next 2 to 4 weeks, and then the final report to be submitted and make decisions on essentially would be what they will present to the board.
And that'll probably be the, not the October meeting, but the November meeting?
I think so.
Okay.
Realistically, I believe it will be the November meeting. And in the meantime, there are a couple projects we're trying to get wrapped up while, I say construction season is still around before snowfall and things freeze. So trying to work through those as well.
For my context, that report will be like a engineering, a
Correct.
full plan of what repairs need to be made, what
So it's
the costs will be, and
yeah, it's
Okay.
it's an assessment of, well, a statement of the damages, and then
Yeah.
a recommendation with a couple options of how best to proceed with those probable costs of construction. So
Okay.
it's meant to provide the all-encompassing overview
Yeah.
of what happened, what are the couple options, and then have their recommendation. The board obviously would decide on their own.
yeah. And will that will incorporate like potential funding sources into that?
Correct.
Or is that already
Well,
established?
it's built into the cost shares for the
Okay.
FEMA disaster recovery funding.
Okay, great. Thanks. Good context.
All right, general manager's report.
Okay. So. Stuff there. As you guys have seen, shared publicly as well, the Craftsbury Circuit Phase 1 right-of-way clearance project is, the contract or agreement has been executed. They are working to mobilize those crews to begin work, essentially starting at the 1415 junction next Monday. They were ready and ready to, stage those crews and get us started, which is great because I think based on their timeline and work plan, they'll be done before Thanksgiving, that time frame, which is in advance of some of the more hardy winter weather. So we, made arrangements as far as negotiating the terms and repayment and all of that. So very eager to see them kick that off. This week, our staff will be hanging out the Hardwick Electric door hangers to provide notice, and then the tree trimming crew is also going to be going out and knocking door to door and actually getting a signature acknowledging receipt of notice by each customer, residential customer or customer that's going to be impacted by this trimming directly. It is the 3-phase line, so it's not, all of your single taps for individual homes for the most part.
I thought the communication that you added to the website was terrific, that, just like the other one you did about rates. So
Thank you.
one suggestion I made or thought, I sent a message back to Sarah saying those communications are so good and she's got all the work invested in them. If it isn't too expensive to do it as a bill stuffer, is that smart to do? Because every customer gets a bit, well, everybody who gets paper bills would get the communication, whereas only a subset go on the website. So website's always the best place to start, but I don't know. They're really good. I wouldn't say that if they weren't really good communications.
I appreciate that, and I think that's part of the strategy discussion we're going to have tomorrow, staff-wide, and how the cadence and structure of communications going forward. And I think it's a broader answer to that question too. If it's system-wide, the bill stuffers go from our bill pay service, right? Does it make sense for us to get metered mail and be able to send postcards and have that sort of service, because it does cost more, I think, going through our billing system.
Oh, they charge a fair amount?
They
for
do
bill
charge,
stuffing?
yeah, it is a
Okay.
separate fee to do bill stuffers.
Yeah.
Online or e-bills are different because it's just a
Yeah.
PDF, but
So
there is a
your
print
point's good,
charge.
because if they're down in Woodbury or something, you wouldn't want to pay money
May not.
to tell them about this. Not necessarily, yeah.
But I think, establishing some postcards or some other way to get announcements out in the
Yeah.
mail is valuable.
To the right people.
To the
yeah.
right people,
Gotcha.
being able to
Now, the
sectionalize
rate
it.
increase one might be a good bill stuffer.
Yes.
Because it was everybody, yeah.
I would agree.
Good, that's great, I like your thinking.
The every door direct mailings you can do are we did them for the organization one time. They're definitely cheaper than sending out a regular letter rate.
Yeah.
It was like 25 cents a customer, and then that's going to every door in the service area. So I guess it might even exceed who receives a bill.
Right,
But if it is a public relations thing, you can assume that pretty much everyone's using
right.
power, even if they're paying via a landlord or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that could be a good option to look into.
Absolutely. And we've tried, to remain cost conscious on that,
Yeah.
because I know, print and mail does cost money. Postage is expensive. But I do think it's valuable, and knowing the demographics of our service territory, it's still a very important way and method of communication.
Yep.
You can see that it would also not just be the communication that you send, but it'll drive people to the website to see other communications too, because they're getting that awareness. So it certainly exceeds the direct specific information on the mailer or the postcard, whatever it is.
Absolutely. And I think that is part of the overall broad strategy of improving that,
Yeah.
communication and expanding the paths of communication.
Great.
But yes, I will absolutely take that
What
recommendation.
about the rate, what about the rates also appeared in the Hardwick Gazette? Did I see it there? Eric?
I don't know if you did. I know it was posted fairly late. I haven't seen the paper yet today, though. So.
Okay. Yeah, I think I saw it in the Gazette one day.
Excellent.
Which is also a good place.
Excellent. Yeah, and I know, Paul Fix and I do try to stay updated on various things, and I think part of our conversation broadly for the right-of-way clearance and various project updates is what other communication networks do we need to be tapping into and notifying when we have announcements like this, so that it is more broadly distributed. So working on that as well. I put in a note, just future, looking ahead as far as the phase 2 of the Craftsbury Circuit project. Obviously, being able to access the line is the first priority, and then once we do, we're going to need to work through what are the design criteria. Do we want to make adjustments for hardening or resilience or what have you? And so we'll get there. I've been working on the back burner with a lot of our crew to begin thinking about that, and I think we will need to look at that in those design and system standards as well. So more to come there. I'm anticipating that the engineering study will be a good informer for how we proceed as well.
Yeah.
And then I had to plug that the GIS system has been great, and I have been enjoying using it and being able to look and have visual spatial awareness of some of the system specifics. In fact, the tree trimming, the right-of-way kickoff notice, those pictures were from our GIS data collection. So I was able to log in, view those images of overgrowth, and put it right on our post, which was great. So that's more so on the business and operations, government affairs, customer relations. Have been making updates to the website, reorganized the homepage for a little bit better flow, added a staff page, which actually lists who our staff are. I think that's important.
That's nice, yeah.
And I'm planning to add in a couple additional pages specifically around rebates and incentives, which we've talked about before, but it's just a matter of being able to get in there and prioritize the focus to do web updates, but we're getting there. Regulatory affairs and proceedings, the tariff filing, we have our second notice of discovery, so we will be answering those. And then the integrated resource plan discovery questions are also due in the next couple weeks. The resiliency investigation is still ongoing. There continue to be workshops, and there have been a couple statements of recommendations from the Department of Public Service on how to proceed, which most of the municipal utilities and public power are trying to temper that a little bit to be a little more reasonable based on existing regulatory requirements. I do anticipate that there will be some metrics that are going to be built into our service quality and reliability planning, the SQURP reports, going forward.
So that puts us at...
That covers that one. Power supply and energy resources. As we get into budgeting season, I wanted to put and lay out where we were with the power supply budget and what FEPSA had provided, where we ended up in year to date so far. And it's pretty close. I think we're doing well in aligning with the budget.
Okay.
And those figures are available. The total load excluding losses is really our internal kind of metered load.
Yeah.
And then including losses is what's occurring outside and all of those fees for capacity.
Yeah.
The interconnections and DG, or distributed energy resources, they continue coming. It's slowed down a little bit since the spring, but we do have some fairly large systems that are working through that initial application and CPG permitting process with the PUC. So those will continue to go through. And we're always trying to improve kind of how we communicate that process to customers and developers, and that's really the next iteration. Once we have details on the website and have gone through some of these iterations of edits, I'm hoping we can more clearly line that path for them. One item which I think it ended up dropping off of the report in a version control issue, the Fitchburg solar contract, which we currently have, has, we were offered, and all of the VEPS members were offered an extension of the contract for a certain period of time. I think it's 5 years. And so based on where we're at as far as resource procurement and long-term planning, that was, with all the other utilities, we agreed to continue that extension for now. And I did get a notice from the power supply team at VEPSA that they are going to look into a shorter but longer term commitment, 18 months or so, to cover the gap before Wolcott Hydro comes back online. So a more secure purchase agreement that will cover us through, volatile markets in the winter months. So
Yeah.
ideally, we will have that in place and for your review and authorization before the end of the year, before we enter those months. I think
That's it?
that's it on mine, I think. Unless you have questions, please.
Nope.
What's the Fitchburg source of energy?
It's a solar generation.
Solar?
And it performs fairly well. We have a pretty good commitment of its output, so.
And so that's another VIPS owned
It's not they purchase in bulk for all the VEPSA members, so I think it's one
Okay.
PPA, and then they have individual agreements with the utilities,
Okay.
but it's for that full purchase of power.
Okay.
Kind of the same way they buy all the power. They kind of go out for all of us.
Yeah.
Yep.
And purchase
And then
it.
pass through
And then-
those,
okay. Great.
those costs. Yeah. Any other questions?
No,
Sure.
thank you.
Any new business?
If not.
Do a break.
Okay, so we'll just.
Break time.
All right, there's no new business, we'll try something, we're taking a break for 10 minutes.
Yep.
Let our TV equipment man get out of here on time, and then we'll come back and do executive session.